All right? What are the risk mitigation strategy? If it goes wrong, what do we fall back to? Or you think things won't go wrong? They will go wrong. So if it goes wrong, what are the risk mitigation? What do we go back to? So if it has a good risk mitigation, then I will say to myself that this is something that is worth doing and is bankable. Then finally, who are the people sponsoring it? The promoters, who are they? What is their track record? What have they done in the past? What are the things they've done? Where are the records? I recall that we had a discussion one-on-one with somebody in the audience yesterday, and the person said to me, I have done some work with another developer, but the guy ran away, ran out of town, and he has left me in trouble. I said, that's the trouble. Once they've left you in trouble, you're the one that is going to carry the trouble. So you must also check who you are partnering with. Don't partner with the person that will rub off negatively on your brand. Same thing, if we say this project is going to be bankable, then it means that we must check the track record of the people involved. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he said almost everything, you know. But however, let me just even still add a little bit of stuff. So, I mean, for a real estate project to be bankable, meaning profitable, you know, are we able to generate profit from this? You know, again, I like to go to the other side of things. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, there's a lot of real estate project that's bankable on paper, and then when you get to site, you realize that you know, and then yeah, it's bankable on paper. You know, I've been in those situations before myself, right? So a lot of things change. I mean, we live in a very fast changing world in Nigeria. There was one time we tried to do a project, took a loan from the bank. The loan was supposed to be 19%. You know, that means we had projected, you know, all of our profit at 19% interest rate. You know, and that's what we used to, you know, do our P&L statement, everything. You know, but then Nigeria happened. Before we finished the project in 2 years, the loan went from 19 to maybe 31%, meaning that, yeah, you know, our profits was just eroded by market conditions that we could not control. Look at that. So again, that's a bankable project on paper, but in real life, not bankable. See? And then I have seen situations in which people, just like you said, you know, they've done everything, raise money, do the most, you know, and then, you know, do a project. In case of Coastal Road, right, they put it there, they've raised money, they've put asset, they have plans, you know, it's looking good on paper, and the government comes with a project that lacks ESG, or even, I say ESG, EIA, you know, environmental impact analysis. You know, because if the project has impact analysis from the start, you would know that there's some telecoms cable, you know, that you know, that would be destroyed, you know, and then you would just not be, you know, going from alignment to alignment, and if everybody, even at the point, even us, I'm like, you know, I don't know if some of our projects will be affected. Some of our projects were affected, you know, with the Coastal Road, but it was just prayer at that point. It shouldn't have been prayers. Everything should have been very crystal clear from the start. You know, I should want to buy land. I get to the bureau, Alausa, I know that this is that. You know, you can go to Alausa, you can go to 4 offices, and then a land is good. In another office, the land is not that good because there's a railway that will pass, and you know, it happens all of the time. So you raise money for a project, the design, you spend a lot of money, coastal roads, you know, that's just an example. So now, government regulation makes it unbankable, right? So, but how do you reduce, not eliminate all of these things? You can only reduce it, but in case of Nigeria, I don't think you can eliminate it. You know, he said very good corporate governance. I think if you have very good corporate governance, one of the functions, major function of good board is to mitigate risk, you know, to make sure that a lot of your projects are de-risked from the start. You know, they look at all of that, they look at your documentation, the legal part of it, you know, especially board that has committees, you know, committees on governance, committees on investment and all of this. They look at all this way, they're able to give you an advice as CEO, and then you mitigate also the risk. And then very importantly also is the management team, experienced management team. And then more often than not, we usually always say, what have they done, track record, all of that, which is very, very important, to be honest. Even myself, when I want to give contract to a contractor, I ask all of those questions. You take me to the building that you've constructed before. But I mean, at the other side of things, all the people that are just trying to do stuff like him, or they're just trying to also be great. That they've learned from a company, they have the experience, but maybe it's their first development. Are we now saying they should not do any stuff? They should not be given opportunities? So I'm just trying to divide a bit, right? So good corporate governance, experienced management team, palling and rallying, the regulators, I've learned in this industry that the people that are very close to the regulators, they rarely run into their troubles, It's not even about spending money, it's about, the, stakeholder management that I talked about. They get that information, way before. And some of them will tell me, do you know that there's a rail, whatever that's coming, like, well, I don't even know, but they know, so those are some ways to, after you've done your pen to paper, wherever that your project is bankable, those are some ways to make sure that in real life, in actual real life, is actually very, very bankable. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think how is the project bankable is the first and the second speaker has really covered almost everything, but we had few things. Let me speak from the angle of a banker, as in you approach a bank. Number one, your project must be able to pass 5 C's. They call them canons of credit, 5 C's of credit. Condition, capacity, character, collateral, and capital. Thank you very much, sir. Now that capital, you want to do a project. Like currently what is on ground now, is it that you are buying your land outright and you want to do construction? Majorly, bank should not finance the purchase of land for projects because of litigation. You want to build, right? Go and resolve the issue of land. I will not give you money to buy land because I'm going to finance the building. I cannot finance land and finance the building. However, we do it under some certain conditions. You finance both land and the building, but it's on some certain rare occasions and some conditions. But the practical thing is we will not finance land because of litigation. Now, that land, is it JV or outright purchase? If it's JV, we'll get your JV agreement. We'll review it by our legal team. I want to reduce my voice. Currently, somebody is in serious trouble, a very popular person. The origin of the problem is JV. I will stop that there and continue the presentation. It's somebody you know. Because there are some terms and conditions there. If you don't meet up, you can lose everything you have invested on the project. Your JV agreement is very important. Don't overlook it. Sometimes you say, okay, if you don't deliver so, you start paying the rent. The person is leaving his house, his land. Demolish it, only one, and put 4, put 5. Do you understand? And you now agree on sharing the ratio. But there are some conditions there. You cannot overlook it. So bank will go through all the conditions and they will check it. Capital, you are going into a project. What is your equity contribution? Can we have evidence of past job done? Under what conditions should we finance this project? I will not give money to finance, it's your first time. We call it, there's a time we use for it. Sorry? It's your first time lending. I will not, finance it. I'm sorry. you will not use me as a control experiment. Yeah, because I've collected money from depositors. And you don't have experience. You've not done this before. You can go and raise your money elsewhere and do your project. I won't be the one you are going to use for practical. So for capital, we will now say, oh, you have passed all these conditions. We will introduce a third party. We call them project managers. They are independent project managers. They are going to check, because disbursement will be in tranches and it will be in milestones. Oh, this is the amount for foundation. But before foundation is okay, it's part of piling, is part of it. Before piling, soil test. Before soil test, documentation, building approvals. All these, we are looking at your equity contribution, cost of construction, and who are the off-takers. This topic is very wide. So I'm just trying to, to round it up, to summarize it. So if you can pass the 5 canons of credit, the character, capital, condition, collateral, capacity, very, very important. So, in conclusion, the bank will check everything. Oh, you've done this before. Okay, so we can give you this. This is 30%. It's 10% you want to do. It's 20%. We are before we even add our own. Before we give you the offer letter, we need to see the off-takers. It's not PMS that you are going to sell in open market. Sometimes a lot of people don't take bank loan for this construction because before they enter the site, they've gotten, you want to build 5. Maybe it's JV. You sell 2. Your own is 3. 2 goes to the landowner. You need to sell 2. That 2 will start and finish everything. Then that 1 remaining is your profit. But, you have sold 1. Then you can approach the bank. I've done this before, I've done that before. So just give me money to cover that gap of that 1 you have not seen. That single off-taker is dropping 200 million. Total construction is 300 million, or let's say 400 million. You have equity of 100 million. Bank can give you 100 million. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So the next question, we're going to do a bit of a speed run. So our realtors here would like to know, how should developers and realtors think about portfolio sustainability and cash flow resilience? As realtors, how should developers and realtors think about portfolio sustainability, sustaining your portfolios, and cash flow resilience? How should developers and realtors think about portfolio sustainability and cash flow resilience?
All right, thanks. One is cash flow, and the other is portfolio sustainability. From inception, we need to look at the portfolio. And in portfolio design and portfolio construction, especially for this class of assets, what theory says is that real estate portfolio are more stable. They are the most stable. That's what theory says. That when you have portfolio in real estate, they are more stable, and that is actually the attraction for people who want to preserve wealth. It's different from people who want to hold cash. Right? People want to preserve wealth. I want to build my wealth. And as such, it respects 3 major indices. What is the age of the investor? What is the age of the investor? I'm 70 years old. You ask me to come and put money into real estate. What do I want to do with it? Except for my children, right? That one, it makes sense. what is the risk appetite of the investor? Usually, real estate is always classified as less risky. Mr. Nola did the presentation on the financial for you the other time, and he showed you stock. Old man will not invest in stock because he will be afraid. Yes, because he already knows that. But if he's bond, he's also looking at it that, okay, fine, this is bond or this is sukuk. Then I know that by this time of the year, this money is coming and it's steady. So he will look at that kind of investment. So you look at the age, the risk appetite of the investor, as well as the timing of the returns. Most importantly, you'll find that the less the risk, the less the return. Okay? But when you also look at our environment, now in terms of profitability, I said there are huge opportunities for real estate. Not only in the real estate that we only live in housing, but in other forms of real estate. How many five-star hotels do we have in Nigeria? I'm sure we can count them on our fingertips. We can count them on our fingertips. How many are they? Total, 5-star. Some of the ones they call 3-star hotel. When the hotelers come and they look at it, they don't even qualify for 1 star. That's the reality. So those are other class of real estates that must be used, and they will grow along with businesses. So profitability, today the gap is shrinking because the cost is going up and affordability cannot meet up with the costs. Somebody gave an inference in class, I don't know whether it's yesterday or today, I think it's today, said when I was planning the project, I planned on the cost of cement for 3,500. Did you hear it? Yeah. He said, but now it's 11,000 something. That's the difference. Cost has gone up. Right? And you can't jack up your own price directly in direct proportion to the cost. Mr. Nola will not be sleeping in all of his properties. It's not possible for him. He has to sleep in more than one room. So those things, and he's not actually building them for him to be sleeping in. It's for us to actually quickly trade into it and be able to get returns. So cost becomes very important in that area, and it then becomes to affect profitability. But what are the things that we can then do to begin to now affect those profitability positively? And those are the add-ons that we can need to put into them, so that we are not always haggling on price. I think we dealt with that yesterday. So those are the areas that I think that we just need to look deeper into. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you to our panelists. You want to add anything, or should we?
Leadership. So I'll say that one of there's a developer I wouldn't I want to mention the name. They had a problem with inflations and whatever, and people were calling out. And then I mentioned that a lot of people told me that one of the things that he lacked was the leadership in managing all of the people that matter at that time. And that's the reason why when someone came to me over there to say, oh, you're not accessible, I said, no, I'm just introverted. You know, and then I am, you know, because of real estate, I'm now trying to come out and, you know, so it affects profitability, it affects everything, sustainability, everything in real estate, the way you manage, stakeholders does not just even involve the, you know, realtors, it also involves the bankers, you know, the regulators and everything. So I say that it affects your profitability in a very huge way, the way you manage stakeholders across board. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So we have one question for Dr. Jubril, one question for Mr. Ola, before we go to the audience, for time's sake. So, Dr. Jubril, we want you in 2 minutes to tell us, where do regulation, finance, and leadership most often fail to align? In 2 minutes.
Well, I think there is inalignment at all the crossroads of financing for real estate, for regulation for real estate. And like we said earlier, we started with the regulators. And for the regulators' part, they don't understand what financing means. They don't know at all what financing means. They don't know what developers are going through. They don't know. They don't know, they don't feel their pain. They don't understand their headache. Okay? They just said, I've been handed this, and I'm just implementing it. That's it. So they don't understand it. For realtors and for developers, stakeholders management is a key task that they need, a skill that they need to succeed. Stakeholder management, particularly regulators management. They must understand regulators management, and it's a must. So, drawing that alignment, we need a system in place. We need a system in place that helps us to have a convergence of mind, where funders of real estate, because even the banks that are providing the funding to real estate today, they don't understand the real estate business. They don't. I've had opportunity to speak to a number of bank MD regarding real estate. They treat it like every other business. Unfortunately, real estate is a different animal. It's a different animal. And if you go to different parts of the world, people who fund real estate understood it differently. And so there's a desk for it. They understood real estate and they fund it. It's not the same interest that applies to the generality of the businesses that applies to real estate. In fact, they treat real estate in America as a protected industry. So it's important that we begin to come together. Developers, funders, and regulators. We need an alignment, just like we're seated here, where the three of them will sit together. And they now begin to talk. If we really are serious about growing the real estate industry, they need to sit down together in a room and begin to talk, and then begin to look at it differently. I'll draw a parallel now, and I'll close with that. In an industry, mining. People who fund mining understood mining. And that's why it's difficult for you to also get a Nigerian bank funding mining. There's nobody that fund mining with a double digits. But the way they fund it is different. They don't give anybody who's going to mining cash. They know all the value chains. So they prepare all the people around the value chain and provide the funding for them. The equipment guy will come, the geophysics guy will come, and that's how they do it. So we need to have this same alignment for real estate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. When he was speaking, he said the bankers don't really understand real estate, and Mr. Ola was not in agreement. So, sir, what financing models best support affordable and sustainable housing?
Thank you very much. Bankers don't really understand real estate. You cannot know the business more than the people that are doing the business. So in most cases, like trade, we learn from the customers. we always learn trade business from the customers, and we try to improve on, because we are not in the field, we are in the office. But if you go to NACO, if you go to Tinkan, if you go out, you will see what is going on. It's not when you sit in the office and you see your tea, put your tie, you are speaking English. That is not trade, and that is not exports. So, to my question, what best model? Currently today, I want to talk about MRIF. Then I will be able to answer the question. MRIF is, this current administration, I think they are doing wonders. So that's MRIF. Myself and my colleagues there, we have done few ones. MRIF is federal government initiative to create sustainable, low-cost housing for people. Maximum amount for obligor, for a single obligor, that single applicant, is not more than 100 million. It can be as low as 1 million, 3 million, 10 million. It's not more than 100 million. Equity contribution is as low as 10%. Interest rate is 9.75. It's still high, sir. Now, let me digress a little. Why is commercial rate as high as 30%? Because there's something called cash reserve ratio. If you give me 100 million naira, that I should pay you 14% interest rate. Maybe every month, maybe 60 days, maybe 90 days, or maybe per annum. You see, that 100 million you have given me, every Friday, CBN will come to my position and take 50% of that money. So CRR as of today is 50%. Now the implication is, I'm going to be paying you 14% on 100 million, but I'm only holding 50 million. And that 50 million, I cannot use everything because there's something called loan to deposit ratio, LDR. Meaning that I must have some percentage of liquidity. I cannot give the entire 50 million out as loan. I have to, keep some as liquidity. And that 50% they have taken away is at 0 interest. There's another ratio in which I have to invest in other liquid assets. As a bank, I must have treasury bills, I must have bonds. I must have something that is close to cash. So, and loans is very, very delicate. You have to be very careful when you are doing loans. So, let's go back to MRIF. MRIF tenure is as high as 20 years. Maximum per person is 100 million. Today, you cannot get anything as low as 9.75. My boss said it's high. Sir, this is Nigeria. I don't know where this will get to, but, it's CBN that is regulating the industry, so it's tough, very tough. It means if I get deposit from you 100 million, for me to be able to do well with 100 million, I have to get more deposits. So when they take the CRR, I have to get more deposits. So, most of us are doing well in the industry because we are generating deposit, and we will continue to look for deposits. Now to MRIF, that is the least you can get, 9.75. For the best model to approach, you need to start with your own strength, with your own fund, so that you can build experience. Or maybe you want to pull in family and friends together to see, let's do simple projects. Let's do something small. Then, the experience is coming. Before you can approach anybody, use your own fund first. Raise fund, raise capital. Use your goodwill to raise money. Then after that, you can start with JV. JV means, you see that small money you are holding. You are not buying land. Build. Stay on marginal profits. Then the moment you can do 1 or 2, then, because JV, JV will enslave you. But you have to start. You have to be somebody's servant before you become Oga. Case of Two-Face and Kenny's Music, you have to serve somebody so that they can expose you. And when you are exposed, then you are in control. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Mr. Nola. So go on, sir.
I just want to add to what both of them said. So you're talking about affordable housing and then low income and stuff. First of all, I'd like to tell the world now that in Nigeria, there's no affordable housing again. You know, so because let's run the numbers. Your salary is, normally low income is supposed to be for, civil servant, people that, the cheapest property that you've seen in the markets in the law is probably like 70 million, which is very difficult to build. Even if your salary is 1 million, can you afford that? No. Look, only government can make affordable housing possible. We started from low-income affordable housing. Guess what? The going concern was not good, right? So the first problem is the mortgage system is wrong. In Nigeria, it's very correct. Real estate is not banked well, right? And then commercial bankers do not understand real estate. I've spoken to, to me, it's like the banker does understand real estate the most. Why? Because it does development as well. See, everywhere in the world, especially in America, the bank funds the demand side and the supply side. See? And that's the reason why they are able to track the amount of contribution that real estate does to the GDP. In Nigeria, it's not possible because most of the real estate transactions are done out of the banking system. See, people come buy in cash, there's no mortgage system that works. So, meaning that, I can pay my lawyer to pay you and it doesn't show us, cost of, so I'm not able to track it or link it to the GDP, whatever that contributes to the real estate side. So, first of all, only government can solve affordable housing. How do they solve it? Reduce these bottlenecks in regulation, number one. Provide lands. There are some, schemes that were for affordable housing. They sold to some developers. The developers started selling a site and service. It was supposed to, when I was very young, houses used to be, in fact, when we started real estate, I think some of the houses that we learned were like 10, 15 million then that we sold. Right now, it's almost impossible. He's talking about MRIF. MRIF is fantastic, right? Very fantastic. It's the cheapest I've seen, but at 9.75, it's still very high. It's correct. It's still very high. MRIF, if you go to a lot of banks now, they'll tell you just 2 or 3 banks that, not a lot of banks, so you probably have to go back to the normal. So financing in real estate in Nigeria is wrong. The banks, they don't understand it. Do they fund the demand side? Yes, with very bad money. When I say bad money, bad loans. And do they fund the supply side? You have just said that, you should go and start with your own money. Whose money? What do you mean, your own money? Whose money? What?
Said goodwill.
Family and friends to start real estate, So if there's a good project, as a good project, I have been privileged to do something with some guys in the US, the land, the good project, the bank took it up from there. They took it from there. And then that was supposed to be the first project that we're going to do in America. They understand, the numbers were clear, the finances, everything. They came from both sides, So we'll take the buyer to the bank to fund it, their acquisition, because they have funded our own side of the thing. So it's easy. Do you understand? So,
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, all our panelists. Because we are pressed for time, we'll only take, how many are you willing to take? 2 questions. Just 2. So please, these questions must come brief. Just tell us what the question is. Thank you.
Panelists, can you hear me now? Okay. All right. So when I looked at the panel discussion, the topic, building sustainable future, regulation, finance, and leadership in real estate. I was expecting to see something like communication. And let me tell you why. Because as realtors, we partner with developers, and we are your foot soldiers, so we have direct, interactions with most of the buyers. And we have found out that oftentimes there's a communication gap in most of our sales. Somebody, an interested buyer asks you questions about this, about that, because even the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, they are kind of modulated questions and answers, instead of going to core questions or relevant questions and answers, they're kind of evasive. That's my observation. I may be wrong. Okay? Yeah. So questions like, because sometimes they ask you, what is the area of, the property occupies? It's not written there. And then lots of them, I'm just giving you an instance. So some of those FAQs should be, in my opinion, they should look at it. Most developers should look at it. And questions like soil test, I can't tell anything. I'm not expecting that soil test should be in the FAQ. But there are questions that a lot of investors ask. And then when you go back to the developers or in their chat room, you ask that question, they make you look stupid. So at the end of the day, you end up looking stupid even in front of your client, because you can't give answers to those questions. I don't want to name a personal experience I had, and that client was a diaspora client, and I couldn't provide a lot of answers, so I felt so embarrassed. Please, is there a way that they can look at it, into this thing? And Mr. Nola, I'm not referring to you alone, because you are representing developers. But what I'm suggesting, or I'm trying to say, is that some of you, the developers, can come together. Like we are just having this. You at the end of the day, there should be a communique that is going to capture all that we have said today. We don't just come here and learn and dump them on that. Then next year we do another one. How do we move forward with all this? That's the communication gap I'm talking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't even need to ask you who the question is directed to. It's me. I know. First of all, thank you very much for that question and feedback. First of all, I'm not representing developers. I'm representing Veritasi Homes. Yeah. Yes. That's it. And then, and I understand, when, especially diasporans, because obviously they've seen Shigi, in the hands of Nigerians, so they ask a lot of questions, and then some of them, the FAQ don't capture it, for good feedback. I mean, I'll discuss with the team to answer as much as possible, questions as possible in the FAQ. However, even though you've answered everything, there will still be some questions that is not captured. It's in every industry. There's a lot of, every industry, then that is the reason why, when we say we have customer happiness team, it's not just for client, also for realtors like, yourself, so they're there to be able to answer any kind of questions that you might have. And the thing is, people think that when you ask the customer happiness about people in the Veritasi Homes question, and they don't know at the moment it's a sin. It's not a sin. It's not a problem. That's fine. People ask me some question. I'm like, what? But I don't know this. But give me like 24 hours. I'll come back to you, because I actually didn't know at that particular period. Do you get it? Especially construction detail. So I would not know the depth of a soil test done, right? I necessarily would not know the width of a pile that is inside it. What I know is that what is the test, what amount of depth are we going for the piling, this is it, and we do it, And so when you ask me that question, I will still refer back to my document or my contractor to say, look, what's the width of the So yeah, so all in all, we provide more information. We have our people that are very ready, and then we're looking for a way to also use tech to be able to answer all of these questions. There's I noticed that some places, especially some hotels abroad, when I get something just pop up on my WhatsApp, almost like an AI WhatsApp, and then I'm able to ask any question. I'm able to order food to my room. I'm able to have and then it's fantastic. I want to do that, at least with the Veritasi Homes team. So we're going to use tech. We're going to educate our people. We're going to take your feedback to answer more questions so that your communication with your clients then becomes very easy or easier. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. One last question.
Question here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the insight and cues. Would you recommend for a long time go? US stock for a long time go. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start from your second question. I don't play a lot in the US stock market. I play in Nigerian stock market. However, the few times I have done that in the US stock market, I have gone in on a private placement. That is really actually not available on the open floor, before the stock enters the public market. The two that I've done in the last 1 year is OpenAI, and then what's that company? The one that
He has a foundation, so he's speaking from experience. And he also involves himself in the sports that HNIs love to play. He plays lawn tennis.
He just answered your question.
Positioning.
okay.
So I would love us to give a wonderful round of applause for our wonderful panelists.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You all agree with us that this has been insightful And the last note from me, I am going to take it from Mr. Nota's last slide before we started this session. He said, think structure, think allocation, think longevity. Now, the one that I'm taking away personally, may your deals grow, may your portfolio strengthen, and may your dreams today project you for lasting success. Those are my takeaways. Thank you very much.
Nobody said amen.
Thank you. So we call on the head of HR. Okay, so Providence Bank, they are here and they will be going around for account opening. So it's best to just connect with them here instead of going to look for them out after this program. So that connection will be there. Ms. Yetunde, picture, please. Yeah. So after this session, please, immediately we proceed to the front of the building to take the class picture with Mr. Nola before he leaves.
I'm trying to read what's written. Is this the bribe for